James Wan is an Australian director with not only a unique directing style, but an affinity for innovation in reinventing old and even new movie tropes in his work, making them fresh and exciting for the modern audience, whilst also causing the audience to resonate with the film and its characters on a deep and emotional level. For examples of these, I'll be discussing Wan's directorial style through 3 of his films, those being Saw, Furious 7, and Aquaman. James Wan's ability to reinvent old movie tropes is perhaps the most evident in his directorial debut, the horror movie Saw. Here, Wan takes the classic horror trope of killer on the loose and flips it, creating a new subgenre of horror that the internet, and of course it was the fucking internet, has dubbed torture porn. Instead of relying on jump scares and supernatural elements to create fear, Wan instead focuses on the psychological terror of the character's predicament. He also adds a new twist to the trope by making the killer, Jigsaw, a sympathetic character with a twisted sense of morality. This reinvention of the horror genre was highly influential after gaining traction in the mid-2000s, and critics began to favour this subgenre over the overabundance of gore. This spawned numerous imitators, cementing James Wan's reputation as debatably the master of horror filmmaking. Wan is a highly visual filmmaker, Saw being the best example, as in his entire filmography, Saw is built on finding creative ways to film a warehouse. A warehouse in any other director's hands could very well have been quite dull or static, lacking a level of dynamism, which many of the following Saw movies show. His use of extreme close-ups, quick cuts, and handheld cameras additionally adds the sense of unease and anxiety in the audience. Throughout watching any and all of his films, it becomes apparent that Wan isn't particularly concerned with realism, tending to lean heavily into formalist territory in his work, not just with visuals but also with acting at times. This is on display in Aquaman, with a great deal of the beginning of the film being almost long-winded bursts of exposition to catch the viewer up on the world. The film features a variety of intricate and imposing set pieces, from the sunken ruins of Atlantis to the epic battle scenes that take place both underwater and on land. Wan's use of vivid and vibrant colours, alongside his expert knowledge of camera work, immerse the viewer in the fantastical world of the film's setting, with awe-inspiring landscapes, creatures, and technology. Accompanying this, he seamlessly blends both practical and computer-generated effects to create a one-of-a-kind experience. The standout scene of Aquaman, and one of the best displays of Wan's work, takes place in Sicily with an elaborate chase fight scene of sorts. The choreography spans a good portion of the village, and the action is followed by dynamic camera movements in a tango with a character's own. This sequence lends itself to the comic books that the story is based on, with longer shots following full movements and the results and impacts, as opposed to the much quicker cutting of modern action films, creating an added layer of immersion, as the fight scene seems much more believable and reads much clearer, even in a formalistic sci-fi fantasy.
I love to sort of tie my action together. So if I have characters that are doing things, in one location and something else is happening kind of close by, I like to sort of find ways where my camera allows me to sort of connect them together. We shot Jason's stun double here in the foreground, getting blasted onto the roof and tearing up the roof tiles. He comes in this way. Meanwhile, the camera is on a crane, pushes past him. We hook up to another element shoot that is happening in the background here with mirror. And so in this one shot, it allows me to go from one character to the next one using crane and spider cam to hook the 2 separate locations into one, and then obviously using visual effects to kind of like marry them together.
The location is also used as a storytelling medium, beyond the context of the scene. As the fight scene progresses, Wan treats the audience to a full display of the character's capabilities, while also showing the limitations that the above-water environment is creating for the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans struggling, the half-breed, Aquaman, holding his ground, and the secondary antagonist of the film, a human, thriving on land. James Wan's work directing Furious 7 could be an entire curriculum in action filmmaking. Wan's ability to seamlessly blend heart-pumping action sequences with scenes of pure emotional depth creates a thrilling film with emotional resonance. Wan's approach for the pre-existing franchise couples the signature elements of
family,
car racing and heists with a mix of parkour and martial arts, alongside paying a touching tribute to Paul Walker, innovating technology to deal with his passing. As Wan was approached by the team with no plot other than the studio wanting to see cars falling out of a plane, it's incredible to see Wan's ability to balance multiple storylines, subplots, and characters with their own respective arcs, without sacrificing the film's pacing or coherence, as well as keeping the audience engaged throughout, even when dealing with Walker's death. Wan's ability to craft dynamic camera work and breathtaking visuals, coupled with his talents for creating emotional depth in his characters and reinventing classic movie tropes and even improving them, has cemented his reputation as a master of his craft. He continues to push the boundaries of filmmaking, keeping audiences engaged and invested in his stories in new and engaging ways. It is clear that Wan is a visionary director who will continue to innovate and inspire audiences for years to come.